Well, hello, my YouTube fellas and gals. So, if you're new to my channel, I own a used bookstore. I sell books, and then I post them in my Etsy if you're interested in purchasing them, and you can go pick them up. And if you don't want to buy books from me and you use a Kindle or a Nook or some kind of tech gadget, I'm still a resource center for you to go find some books that are really cool out here in the world of authors, because I love to read. So with that, we are going to start on lot 58. I usually read the synopsises of 10 books and tell you what they're about. And everything will be in the description below. You can reach me. All my contact will be down there. And these are going to be all hardbacks, and they're all $3 a piece for today's books. So the first one is called The Surgeon by Tess Gerritsen. It's got marker rating in the front. It is a 2001 copyright. This is what the book looks like. I do go through all my books to make sure you get the best pages. And this is a large font reading book. You can see where it's discolored because it has been loved. So this is what the book's about. The Surgeon. Love to feel the icy chills of a heart-pounding thriller. Get ready for an all-nighter. This harrowing tale from Tess Gerritsen is sure to keep you on the edge of your seat. A deranged killer dubbed the Surgeon is on the loose in Boston, holding the terrified residents in his clutches. One of them is a cardiac surgeon. Catherine Cordial, whose cool exterior covers a bundle of personal demons. Years ago, she was the lone survivor of a serial killer in Georgia. Now the police want her in helping track down this evil fiend. As one by one the women are slashed to death, Catherine's fears escalate, but in the calming presence of Detective Thomas More, her frosty surface begins to melt. Meanwhile, a deadly predator continues his hideous handiwork. Patiently waiting for Catherine to feel him closing in, everything up to now has been practice. Catherine will be the main event. Action and suspense is what we're on. This is book one. Book number 2, we have Burnt Sienna by David Morrell. That's what the book looks like. I like looking at them without the jackets. 2000 is the copyright, and this is what the book's about. Painters know burnt sienna is the color of earth and fire, the color of passion and life, but when Chase Malone sets eyes on Sienna Belasar, he sees a beauty unmatched by anyone or anything he has ever attempted to capture on canvas. Sienna is the wife of international arms dealer Derek Belasar, who tries to strong-arm Malone into painting her portrait. But Malone refuses until he beholds Sienna's beauty, until the CIA persuades him to spy on Belisar, and until he learns that Belisar previously commissioned paintings of 3 earlier wives weeks before each died in suspicious accidents. Convinced that Sienna is in terrible danger, Malone vows to rescue her from Belisar's French Riviera stronghold. Malone believes he can outrun, outfight, and outsmart Belisar, but there may be no place in the world beyond Belisar's reach and no place to hide so beautiful a woman. As Belisar prepares to test a monstrous new biological superweapon, Malone and Sienna must take on the ultimate challenge to confront Belisar on his own territory, exploit his one and only weakness, and try to destroy him. A novel combines nonstop action with masterful psychological brushstrokes. Burnt Sienna is a blockbuster entry from America's prominent thriller writer. Here, David Morrell exposes layer of truth beneath the surface of a woman's beauty and a man's greed and an artist's conscience. All 3 are caught in a fight for their lives with explosive consequences for the entire world. So there you go, book number 2. Book number 3, we have Nightfall by Nelson DeMille. This is what it looks like. This is a 2004 copyright. It's got a little bit of stainage on this part. Like, I don't know if that's stain or aging. But anyways, this is what the synopsis is, what the book is about. At dusk on July 17, 1996, on a deserted Long Island beach, a man and a woman engaged in adulterous sex in front of a video camera. Suddenly, a terrible blast lights up the dark summer sky. TWA Flight 800 has just exploded in midair with 230 souls on board, and the video camera has recorded the last moments of the doomed airliner. And this is actually based on true events. 5 years later, the government has declared the crash a result of a mechanical failure, but John Corey, an ex-NYPD detective who is now a contract agent with the Federal Anti-Terrorist Task Force, is persuaded by Kay Mayfield, his wife, and his task force partner that the case deserves a second look. Kate, a career FBI agent, plays by the rules. Corey plays by no rules but his own. Against long odds and warnings from their superiors, they set out to open the case and discover its most crucial piece of evidence. The hunt will lead to a conspiracy act at the highest levels and a race toward an elusive and lethal truth that could be even more horrifying than the crash of Flight 800, one with unimaginable consequences for America and the world. A stunning achievement, Nightfall raises questions about national security questions with more resonance today than any other time in our history. That rare novel that makes you think and feel ways you never expected. It delivers a superlative suspense and insights that will haunt you long after the final page is turned. So that is book number 3. It sounds interesting too. Book number 4, we have The Trial by Robert Whitlow. And this is what the book is about. It is a 2001 copyright. In the tradition of John Grisham, lawyer Robert Whitlow has written a compelling read of intrigue and romance that will hold you breathless to the very end. When 19-year-old wealthy heiress Angela Hightower is murdered, Kent McCain, a lawyer on the verge of suicide, is appointed to defend the accused killer. Peter Thomason is an ex-Marine with a history of getting in trouble, but he claims to have no memory of the crime in which he is accused. Mac believes his client is innocent, and that's just one more reason to believe God doesn't care what happens to the people he created. The two psychologists who examine Peter differ in their opinions. One says he's incapable of killing Angela, while the one hired by a Hightower family diagnoses him as dangerous psychopath. In spite of a reasonable doubt, Peter is found guilty and sentenced to death. A young lawyer who is led by a Holy Spirit believes Peter is innocent and convinces Mac to let him help appeal the verdict. And what they cover is more treacherous than they ever imagined. As Peter awaits his fate, he finds Christ and begins to witness to the other prisoners, trusting in the mercy of God's plan, but is the web of deceit and betrayal too complex to unravel and save Peter's life? And can Mac McLean accept God's forgiveness for the tragedy that torments his soul? That sounds intense. So that was book number 4. Book number 5, we have Bombshell, an FBI thriller by Catherine Coulter. This is what the book looks like. And it is a 2013 copyright, and this is what it's about. FBI Special Agent Griffin Hammersmith, last seen in Backfire, has been recruited by Dylan Savage to join his unit in Washington, D.C. Savage sees something special in Hammersmith, an almost preternatural instinct for tracking criminals. While on his way to D.C., Hammersmith plans to visit his sister Delcy, a student at Stanislaus School of Music in Maestro, Virginia. Before he arrives, he gets a phone call that Delcy has been found naked and unconscious, lying in a pool of blood after a wild party. The blood isn't hers, so to whom does it belong? Griffin must protect Delcy, but from whom? Meanwhile, back in D.C., FBI agents Savage and Sherlock have their hands full when the grandson of a former Federal Reserve Bank chairman is found murdered. Every bone in his body broken, his corpse frozen at the foot of Lincoln Memorial. Was it revenge against his grandfather for blaming the bank crisis, or something more insidious and personal? It's a bitter winter, and in the endless cold, evil lurks. So there you go. Book number 5. Book number 6, we have Jester, written by James Patterson and Andrew Gross. This is what the book looks like. It is a 2013 copyright, and this is what the book's about. Hugh DeLuc, a poor innkeeper, returns home from the First Crusade, wearied by battle and disillusioned by carnage. After journeying from the Holy Land back to his own small village, he finds his nightmare is just beginning. In his absence, Hugh's son has been killed and his beloved wife, Sophie, abducted by a ruthless duke in search of a priceless relic dating back to the crucifixion, taking on the role of a jester. Hugh infiltrates the court where he believes Sophie is held captive, where he confronts men more than evil than he ever imagined, and embarks on an epic battle to restore his own broken life. With the breakneck pace and dazzling action of a thriller and the timeless romance of an Arthurian legend, The Jester is a pulse-pounding and enchanting novel. This classic tale of good against evil, the search for the love that is the greatest story yet, from the writers of the San Francisco Chronicle, calls the page-turnerest author in the game right now. So there you go. Written by 2 guys. And that's number 6. Book number 7, we have Warning Signs by Stephen White. That's what the book looks like. It looks like it's got a little bit of paint or something on there, smudged. This is a 2002 copyright. This is what it's about. Okay. Warning signs: the grisly sting shatters the quiet of a residential neighborhood in the foothills of the Rockies. The battered body of a Boulder County District Attorney Royal Patterson lies aiming shards of a broken pottery while his wife sleeps upstairs. Within hours, a homicide detective is the prime suspect in a brutal death that will send a shockwaves through the city and reverberate in the professional and personal life of Alan Gregory. Alan knew Roy Patterson. Lauren, his wife, a prosecutor in the DA's office, worked under Patterson for years, and while Lauren contemplates taking on the defense of the accused cop, Alan meets with a new patient. Almost from the moment Naomi Biggs started talking, warning bells go off in Alan's mind. A terrified mother with an explosive secret. Naomi tests the limits of doctor-patient confidentiality when her privileged exchanges convince Alan that a crime is about to be committed. But when he uncovers a shocking link to the Patterson sting, Alan finds himself riding the slippery slope between the professional judgment and professional responsibility as he struggles to protect his patient while the probing mind of the deeply troubled teenager. As violence erupts throughout the city, a pattern of vengeance becomes chillingly clear. Alan is plunged into a desperate manhunt for a killer whose trail of rage winds all the way up to the Colorado Supreme Court. As the minutes tick down in a brilliantly conceived vendetta that targets the guilty and the innocent alike, Warning Signs races to a harrowing climax in which the lives of hundreds hang in the balance. A brilliant exploration of the fears and passions that war within each of us. Warning Signs is a vintage White, taut to penetrating, utterly terrifying. Sounds like a good one. So that's book number 7. Book number 8, we have The Innocent Man by John Grisham. This is what the book looks like. This is a 2006 copyright, and this is what it's about. In the Major League Draft of 1971, the first player chosen from the state of Oklahoma was Ron Williamson. When he signed with the Oakland A's, he said goodbye to his hometown of Ada and left to pursue his dreams of big league glory. 6 years later, he was back, his dreams broken by a bad arm and bad habits, drinking, drugs, and women. He began to show signs of mental illness. Unable to keep a job, he moved in with his mother and slept 20 hours a day on her sofa. In 1982, a 21-year-old cocktail waitress in Ada named Deborah Sue Carter was raped and murdered, and for 5 years the police could not solve the crime. For reasons that were never clear, they suspected Ron Williamson and his friend Dennis Fritz. The two were finally arrested in 1987, charged with capital murder. With no physical evidence, the prosecutor's case was built on junk science and the testimony of jailhouse snitches and convicts. Dennis Fritz was found guilty and given a life sentence. Ron Williamson was sent to death row. If you believe that in America you're innocent until proven guilty, this book will shock you. If you believe in the death penalty, this book will disturb you. If you believe in the criminal justice system is fair, this book will infuriate you. So that is book number 8. Book number 9. We have The City of Falling Angels by John Berendt. This is what the book looks like. This is a 2005 copyright, and this is what it's about. Venice, a city of masks and riddles where narrow streets and passageways form a giant maze that confounds the unlimited and deepens the sense of mystery. As captivating as it is elusive, the city teeters in precarious balance between endurance and decay. Architectural treasures crumble, foundations shift, ornaments fall, even as efforts to preserve them are underway. In The City of Fallen Angels, John Berendt, author of the record-breaking best-selling Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil, unveils agnetic Venice as only he can. The story opens on the evening of January 29th, woohoo, my birthday, 1996, where a sensational fire destroys the historic Finis Opera House. The Lost of Finis, where 5 of Verdi's operas premiered, is a catastrophe for Venetians. Made worse by the revelation that arson might have been the cause. Arriving 3 days later after the fire, Berendt becomes a kind of detective inquiring into the nature of life in this remarkable city, while gradually revealing the truth about the fire. In the course of his investigations, Berendt encounters a rich cast of characters: as hard-as-nail prosecutor who blushes when he's angered, a prominent Venetian poet whose shocking suicide prompts his friends to pursue a murder suspect on their own, the first family of the American expatriates facing the loss of their palace on the Grand Canal after 4 generations of ownership, an organization of party-going high society Americans busily raising money to preserve the art and architecture of Venice, while quarreling among themselves, questioning each other's motives, and drawing startled Venetians into the fray. A contemporary Venetian surrealist painter, known locally as an outrageous prankster and provocator, a 21st generation master glassblower, whose sons are locked in a dynastic war. The numerous others: pigeon trappers, scapegoats, hustlers, sleepwalkers, a believer in Martians, the plant man, the rat of Treviso, and Henry James. Brent tells a tale full of atmosphere and surprise as the stories build one after the other, ultimately coming together to portray a world as finely drawn as a still life painting. The fire and its aftermath serve as a leitmotif that runs throughout the book, contributing to the ever-mounting suspense and the revealing of the city of Venice as all its magic, mystery, and decadence. That was a mouthful. Book number 9. And then we have, at last, book number 10. Book number 10 is Flesh and Blood by Jonathan Kellerman. That's what the book looks like. It is a 2001 copyright. And this is what it's about. Lauren Teague is a beautiful, defiant, borderline delinquent teenager when her parents bring her to Alex Delaware's office. But for Alex's skill and effort, Lauren resists angrily, provocatively, reluctantly. The psychologist chalks Lauren up as one of the most inevitable failures of a challenging profession. But years later, when Alex comes face to face with Lauren in a shocking encounter, both doctor and patient are stricken with shame. And then the ultimate horror takes place, when soon after Lauren's brutalized corpse is found dumped in an Alex disregards the advice of his trusted friend, LAPD detective Milo Sturgis, and jeopardizes his relationship with his longtime lover, Robin Castigna, in order to pursue Lauren's murderer. As he investigates his young patient's troubled past, Alex enters the world of shadowy worlds of fringe psychological experimentation in the sex industry, and then steps into mortal danger where lust and big money collide in Southern California. Jonathan Kellerman's LA is evil, seductive, erotic, and unforgiving, and Flesh and Blood is a mind-opening in its drama of a driven man's personal quest. Breathtaking in its ingenious plot, filled with unforgettable characters, and topped off by a terrifying climax. This is a suspense fiction at its finest. So there you go. And I want to thank all the people that watch my videos. You're so appreciated. And please leave a comment below so I can come find you if you have a channel too. So with that, whatever time zone you're in, I hope you're having a great one. And I'll see you soon. Bye.